It's the Real Estate Podcast, brought to you by ANZ Home Loans for financial well-beings.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Real Estate Breakfast as we talk 7 days a week, every morning. That's why we call it the Real Estate Breakfast, all about your property, the trends and what is happening right across Australia, as heard on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts and Amazon. And the very last day for the month, the 31st, June tomorrow. It is a Friday, so we're sort of counting down towards another weekend. And you might be looking at going to the supermarket. Dare I say, the cost of living, man, oh man. How many of our grandparents are saying to us at the moment that what we are experiencing right now is the worst in their living memory of their lifetime? So going to the supermarket now feels like waiting for the bill from your dentist. And apologies to our dentist friends listening this morning, but it's an analogy that people, I think, can identify with. We know it's painful, we know it's expensive, and if our grandmothers are saying it's the worst in living memory, it's definitely happening. And if you are heading off to the supermarket later today, good luck. And when did we ever say that? Good luck for going to the supermarket. Well, right now, let's catch up with Varsha Daswani from SAI Real Estate Group. She is here looking at a slice of Queensland real estate. And good morning to you, Varsha. First off, from the supermarket aisles to selling real estate, people have all sorts of ways to do this step successfully. But when it comes to marketing a property to sell, what do you think is maybe the best marketing strategy to be successful and to get the right outcome?
Good morning, Craig. Yeah, the best strategy to sell and get the best outcome for your property, I think, is auction. Is because when you're selling a property through auction, the message you are giving to your buyers is you are a serious seller. You're not testing the market. Not every property should go to auction again. A property that does not have any comparables, as nothing similar has been sold in the suburb, and it is a unique property as a vendor has added a lot of value by making changes to the property, is the best example of taking it to the auction. Basically, one of the biggest benefit of taking a property to auction is it is a very transparent process. The building and pest is already done, and the buyers need to be ready financially in order for them to buy the property at auction, as it goes unconditional on that day.
Yeah, that is a good point about it being very transparent and ready to go with the building and pest all out in the open. Then it's really just down to the financed ready buyers who are raising their hands at an auction. And just on that note, you wanted to make a comment about when a property is handed in and somebody makes the comment that it was a failed auction. You say that there is no such thing.
There is no such thing as failed auction. It just means when the property is passed in on that day, which means that now the property is going to go to the market. It's quite simple, straightforward, 3 to 4 weeks of marketing campaign towards the auction is the perfect way to get the best outcome for your property.
Yeah, and it just amazes me how many people don't realise that they can purchase before the auction actually happens. So many people think that they are just fixed into the auction. And I was only talking to a relative of mine a few weeks ago that had no idea and has transacted on 2 properties prior. And I had no idea that that's where their thinking was. So let's just stick with that, because I think you've got some numbers around the auction clearance rate, including Queensland.
So the auction clearance rate in Victoria was just on the 25th of May was 59%. In New South Wales, it was about 58%. And in Queensland, it was about 52%. When we come back to Queensland, there were only 1,095 properties that were on the market. So from that to 52% is really a good ratio. That means that the property market is really, really strong. So when you are even monitoring the market, auctions is the way where people monitor the market, saying that whether the market is performing really strong or not so strong. It looks like Queensland is performing really well, and that's a really good news.
All right, it is a Friday. We are counting down towards the weekend. We'll be back with Varsha in just a moment. We'll have a look at the Sunshine Coast, the property market, and what that is likely to be doing by the end of the year after this.
Every morning from 6 a.m, we bring you the latest real estate news with diverse perspectives from leading industry experts. We deliver the most property podcasts across Australia every week.
And right now it is time for another 30-second property tip. Let's go back to Stephen Devine, who we spoke to recently. He's a property partner at the agency in inner west of Sydney. And good morning to you, Stephen. What have you got for us this morning by way of some property information?
Thanks for the opportunity to chat. Look, I'm very passionate about what I call the life cycle of property. And this is maybe a gross generalisation, Craig, but too often people just think about the immediate purchase that they're looking at and not looking at the life cycle of property. And what I mean by life cycle, typically people end up their first home is a small unit because that's all they can afford. Then kids come along, gets too big, too small for them. They're looking for something bigger than that. They go into a small home. Then again, maybe 5-7 years later, another kid comes along, that's too small. They go to the big house. And typically that's where people spend their most time, 25, 30 plus years in our area. Then kids leave home, they go to a small house, then they end up in a small unit, then they end up at Rookwood. What people need to be focused on is not necessarily the immediate purchase when they're buying a first home. This is just a stepping stone to get me into the next home, which is a stepping stone to get me into the big home. And the big home is quasi-superannuation fund. When you sell it, it really sets you up for your future about how you will end up in your retirement. And I guess the bigger the home you can get, the better you're going to be in your retirement.
Well, that is such an elegant way to describe it, Stephen, and you've constructed that in thought regarding how to buy your first property right through to your last house that is going to really set you up in retirement. And it's so true about the bigger the house in the right area, the more comfortable your retirement is going to be in later life. And what a headache the government would have, as well as taxpayers, if there was no such thing as a strong investment in the housing market over a long sustained period of time to build equity for those retirement years. So thank you for that. And talking of retirement, coming up tomorrow morning from 6 a.m, we are going to be in one of the largest retirement areas of Australia that really does have a golden lifestyle. Gee, I wonder where that is.
Don't forget to subscribe. We have hundreds of episodes, all designed to help you better understand the constantly evolving and dynamically changing real estate property market.
And it is a Real Estate Friday. Welcome to it. Weekend just around the corner, and we are having a look at Queensland this morning, talking to Varsha Daswani. And Varsha, the Sunshine Coast property market, you want to talk about what that is going to perhaps look like by the end of 2024?
The property market on the Sunshine Coast has been a topic of considerable interest among investors, home buyers and industry experts, especially given the notable price increases in recent times. As we venture into 2024, understanding the factors influencing these trends is crucial for anyone engaged in housing market. Now, the end of 2023 showed a continued uptrend in property prices across Queensland, including the Sunshine Coast. According to the latest quarterly median sales results from CoreLogic, house prices across the state rose by 3.88% over the quarter, while the unit prices increased by 3.4%, signifying a healthy year-over-year growth. We are going to finish really strong.
And if we have a look at some of those key drivers for the market moving forward, perhaps like building costs, migration, of course, is just such a massive thing for Queensland at the moment, as well as the Sunshine Coast.
Yeah, 100%. So building and interest costs have been stubborn construction costs have had a twofold impact. They have deterred new building projects and have made existing homes more attractive. Now, additionally, the interest rates, which saw hikes, are now under speculation for potential cuts that could stimulate the market further. Now, migration patterns, as a significant influx of people relocating to Sunshine Coast, has escalated the demand for housing. Now, this migration includes not only interstate movement, but also an increase in international settlers, which contributes to the housing demand. Now, supply constraints, there is persistent mismatch between the number of homes that is available and the number of buyers in the market, resulting in, again, the supply shortage that exerts upward pressure on the property values.
Yeah, so just in terms of say the last 3 to 5 to 7 weeks, how is that sort of sentiment going? Because there's a lot of people that feel that, yeah, we've probably hit the bottom in terms of the rate rises. The rises are likely to come down. We're just waiting for that. But have you noticed a shift in sentiment?
100%. The overarching theme may be one of the cautious optimism, basically, while potential buyers are faced with the challenge of finding affordable entry points into the market. Now, the decisions of policymakers, economic shifts, and the real estate industries response to demand will contribute to the direction of the Sunshine Coast property market in the months ahead. It's challenging at this point in time, and the buyers being a little bit frustrated and unsure of what to do as they are missing out. If you're not a serious buyer, I would not suggest for you to come to the market at this point. And, if you are serious, then just get ready either to bid or put an offer like ASAP, because the properties are getting sold really, really quickly. When it comes to buying, the buyers just have to kind of put their best foot forward really quickly. Otherwise, they're going to miss out.
All right, so that is Varsha Daswani there from SAI Real Estate Group. Thank you for that, Varsha. Enjoy your Friday. Have a fantastic weekend.
Thank you so much, Craig. You too.
Don't navigate the real estate market alone. Let us help guide you in the world of real estate every day. Make better informed decisions with the latest news and insights.
It's a much more prevalent model in Queensland, so you're probably more likely to get a degree of recognition in Queensland than other states, but it's certainly an industry and a sector that flies under the radar. There's a lot of people out there who fundamentally don't know that it exists or exactly what it is.
Yes, it's all about exactly that. Unraveling it. So for those unfamiliar with management rights, can you give us a brief overview, Nick, of what the industry is all about?
Yeah, so management rights, at their essence, they're a business. In Queensland, those agreements with the body corporate to look after the building, make sure it doesn't fall down, and do all of the things affiliated with caretaking that building, that forms the core of the management rights asset. And then there's also a letting business that exists as well there, so that's how a manager can derive commission from managing lots inside that complex.
Ready to step up your property knowledge? Access powerful insights with us. We connect you to the best real estate information across Australia. The Real Estate Podcast.